Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to go my review of Friday Night Smackdown. Starting off the night, we have Cody Rhodes coming out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Rhodes talks about Owens, calls out Owens as well. Owens never shows up. Instead, Nick Aldis comes out to the ring. Aldis says that Orton is injured after the attack that he sustained from Kevin Owens. Aldis says that Owens is not allowed at SmackDown until they do an internal investigation. Rhodes then mocks Owens. Rhodes talks about WrestleMania 40. And then Rose says that he's not going to be waiting long for Kevin Owens. Moving on from that, we have our first match of the night. It's a U.S. Women's Tournament matchup. It is Candice LeRae versus Bayley versus B-Fab. Thought it was a good match, back and forth matchup between LeRae, Bayley, and B-Fab, with LeRae keeping the pace of the match. But Bayley ultimately hits a roll-up, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and moving on in the U.S. Women's Tournament is Bayley. Hats off to Bayley for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have an LA Knight Open Challenge, and the person that answered that challenge was none other than Humberto Carrillo. It was a good match, back and forth matchup between LA Knight and Humberto, with LA Knight keeping the pace of the match. LA Knight then hits an elbow drop off the top rope, and then Knight hits a BFT on Humberto, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is still U.S. champion is LA Knight. After the match, he is attacked by none other than the return of Nakamura. Looks like Nakamura has his sights set on LA Knight's U.S. title. Moving on from that, we have a Roman Reigns segment. Roman's backstage with his bloodline. Zayn says that he can't find a fifth. Jay tells Roman that he needs to make the call. And then all of a sudden, Solo's music hits the bloodline. Solo's bloodline comes out to the ring. Roman, Jay, and Jimmy, and Zayn come out to the ring, and all that brawl happens. Roman hits a spear on Solo. Reed then attacks Roman. Reed hits Tsunami. Roman then hits Superman Punch on Reed and Tonga. Solo then hits a Samoan Spike, taking out Roman. Reed then hits a Tsunami on Roman Reigns, and it looks like Reed is the 5th member of Solo Sikoa's bloodline. Moving on from that, we have a tag team title matchup. It is the Motor City Machine Guns defending the tag team titles against the Street Profits. I thought it was a good match, back and forth matchup between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits, with the Motor City Machine Guns keeping the pace of the match. Ciampa comes down to the ring, attacks Ford and Dawkins. Match ends in a disqualification. Gargano was here. Ciampa then pushes Gargano, and then Dawkins attacks Alex Shelley. Moving on from that, we go into the main event of Friday Night SmackDown. It is Nia Jax defending the women's title against none other than Naomi. It was a good match, back and forth matchup between Naomi and Nia Jax, with Naomi keeping the pace of the match. Naomi hits a rear view on Nia Jax. Raquel and Liv attack Jade and Belair backstage. Tiffany Stratton comes out to the ring to attack Naomi. After that, Bayley comes out to the ring. Bayley attacks Tiffany Stratton. LeRae then attacks Bayley, which allowed Nia Jax to hit the Annihilator on Naomi. Pins for the 3. And your winner of the match and still women's champion is Nia Jax. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Friday Night SmackDown before I get the hell up out of here. Was it a good show? Yes, it was definitely a good show. Obviously, for the past couple weeks, past couple months, a lot of WWE's main storyline right now is solely pertaining to Bloodline, and they didn't disappoint. You know, obviously, both Roman and Solo Sikoa are both looking for their 5th member to join their stable, going into War Games and, for Survivor Series. It looks like Bronson Reed is that 5th member for Solo Sikoa's Bloodline. Now, I know a lot of people we're kind of taken back by this. We're kind of shocked. Some people were even pissed off on the fact that Bronson Reed was the 5th guy for Solo Sikoa. And my honest opinion, was I completely pissed off? No, I was not. Do I think it was rushed? Yes, because I feel like on the flip side of the coin for Roman, it looks like it will be Seth Rollins joining Roman once again and reuniting with Roman since the Shield days to take on Solo Sikoa's new bloodline, hence for the reason for Bronson Reed. Obviously, there's some unfinished business there between Rollins and Reed. So it looks like it is going to be Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Bronson Reed taking on Roman, Zayn, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins at this year's War Games for Survivor Series, which, all in all, am I against it? No. There's a lot of angles that go into this. Number one, Bronson Reed joining Solo Sikoa. You know, when I looked at it on Friday Night SmackDown, I felt like, you know, regardless of it, you know, being possibly rushed, I felt like Bronson Reed definitely fit the mold of what Solo Sikoa's new bloodline was. Man, he fit in there like a glove. And Bronson Reed is no small guy. He's a dominant force in all of professional wrestling right now. So to add that 5th member and a guy of that stature on that stable already with, you know, the likes of Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, that stable is going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to War Games. So, and then on the flip side of the coin, you look at Roman, where, for the past couple of weeks, Zayn, NJ, and Jimmy have been trying to do whatever they can, especially Zayn, to try to find a fifth member to join Roman Reigns' bloodline, whether it would be Rey Mysterio, LA Knight. I know that Zayn approached LA Knight to possibly join them, taking on Solo Sikoa's new bloodline, and LA Knight turned them down. So, to me, it seems like it's going to be Seth Rollins joining Roman, which, again, I mean, there's an angle in itself right there with, this is the first time that we would see Rollins possibly joining up with Roman since, and the last time they were together on a team was the infamous stable known as The Shield, when it was Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. So, again, there's a lot of history there between Roman and Seth, and the fact that Seth might be the fifth member to join Roman, it kind of already intensifies the match even more going into Survivor Series, knowing that Rollins will possibly have Roman Reigns' back due to the fact that Bronson Reed has joined Solo Sikoa's bloodline. The other thing I want to talk about, obviously, is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was another vocal point on Friday Night SmackDown. Obviously, there's a lot of hostility there between him and Owens. And to me, obviously, I believe Owens will be on SmackDown this Friday, I believe in Utah, to pretty much, I guess, address what he did to Randy Orton and try to figure out what the hell's going on with Kevin Owens. So, to me, I do believe that there will be a Cody Rhodes match with Kevin Owens, and I think that's the reason why Bronson Reed came out to join Solo Sikoa's bloodline. My initial thought, it was going to be maybe Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Cody teaming up with Roman, and possibly The Rock teaming up with Solo Sikoa, and obviously that's not the case, so it kind of frees up Cody Rhodes. So I think the matchup between Cody and Kevin Owens will take place, in my honest opinion, none other than Saturday night's main event. That's returning, I believe that's December 14th. I think that will be the main event for Saturday night's main event in December between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, in my honest opinion. I think that's probably the route they're going to go, and just completely, continually keep building up that matchup until hopefully we get that matchup as a main event for Saturday night's main event in December. So, and the other thing too, obviously, the other big elephant in the room would be the women's U.S. title tournament. It was announced, I believe, 2 weeks ago from Nick Aldis that he announced that he brought in a new title for the women for WWE, being the U.S. title, where I believe Raw superstars and SmackDown superstars will compete in the tournament to crown a new or inaugural women's U.S. champion, which I'm all for that. I know some people are against it. My initial thought process of the entire thing was I think it'll be better for them to get rid of the women's tag team titles. I feel like there's not enough women tag teams to facilitate a women's tag team division. And I feel like a lot of times they just kind of incorporate different women to join up and become a team to take, hopefully to try to become the new women's tag team champions. I just think the whole concept of the tag team division for the women is just not there. I think having, obviously, two women, predominant championships, the world championships, and obviously adding the new U.S. title, I think is great for the women. I was surprised that Monday Night Raw didn't, Adam Pearce didn't announce a women's Intercontinental Championship, which, again, I'm not against that. I'm not against, the women not having more championships to kind of solidify them on TV, on PLEs. I'm all for it. I know some people are against it. For me, I'm all for it. I think it opens up opens up more doors for the women on WWE, whether it be Raw or SmackDown. It gives them more TV time, gives them a lot more accolades to add to their legacy, with obviously the addition of the U.S. Women's Championship and all that, and obviously and the women's world title. So I think it's a win-win. I think that the biggest negative I would have to say is I feel like at this point now, with the addition of the women's U.S. title, I think, trying to dismantle the women's tag team division or tag team titles for more or less, I just think it's not needed, to be honest with you. I think a lot of the times that we see a women's tag team matchup, a lot of the time it's the same teams always wrestling, whether it's, Pure Fusion Collective or Damage Control or Jade and Bianca or Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I mean, we're getting the same teams on a consistent basis. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I believe I saw Damage Control take on Jade and Bianca. I mean, it's been countless times. So I feel like the division for the women, for as far as tag teams are concerned, it's just not really there, and it kind of takes away from the tag team titles because there's really no division for women tag team right now in Raw or in SmackDown. But all in all, I mean, obviously the main vocal point was Bronson Reed on SmackDown. With him coming out attacking Roman Reigns, obviously now, we want to see what the rebuttal is going to be. I think Zayn and Jay and Jimmy will possibly be on Raw tonight to see if they can find a fifth member, because right now they don't have a fifth member. And most likely, in my honest opinion, I think it is going to be Seth Rollins joining Roman Reigns once again since their time when they were in the Shield. So I think it's a big deal. I think Survivor Series is going to be absolutely incredible. Definitely looking forward to that event. I believe it's November 30th, if I'm not mistaken, in Toronto. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And Survivor Series is always one of those PLEs, man. It's always that top 5 PLEs that WWE always brings to the table. And some of the most important pay-per-views being Survivor Series, obviously the Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. You know, those few PLEs that they have is always important and crucial for WWE, and it always has been and always will be. So it looks like Survivor Series this year is going to be absolutely stacked from top to bottom. And again, when it pertains to Cody Rhodes, like I mentioned earlier too, I also want to reiterate this. There also could be a very good chance that they might not wait until December between Cody and Kevin Owens. It might happen in Survivor Series. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a regular matchup or no disqualification. But Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens could also be something to be talked about when it pertains to Survivor Series. They also could be booking that matchup, getting the build and the lead up towards Survivor Series between Owens and Rhodes. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But all in all, man, SmackDown was a really good show. I didn't think it was that bad. I think, obviously, I mentioned this multiple times in the past, man. If you don't like the Bloodline, then SmackDown's really not for you, because right now it's really Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline. It's really kind of taking ownership right now as far as storylines are concerned when it pertains to Friday Night SmackDown. So if you guys are not, a big fan of that, then I'd probably say SmackDown's probably not for you. But for me personally, as a fan, I'm really liking what Cody Rhodes is doing. And, I'm loving what the Bloodline's doing right now. I mean, the Bloodline has progressively got better and better and better over time. It's like a fine wine. It just gets better over time. So I'm definitely looking forward to this year's Survivor Series, the civil war, if you will, between Solo Sikoa's Bloodline and Roman Reigns' Bloodline to finally crown the undisputed, if you will, tribal chief. And hopefully we get some kind of insight on that as well. So with that being said, this is my review of Friday Night SmackDown. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful. And remember, stay classic. Peace.